So, I'm going to talk a little bit about relationships and how I believe that we simply attract what we deserve. So, I think that a lot of us don't believe that there's a reason why we're attracted to these people that we meet, and maybe we haven't deeply looked at the patterns that we're creating or the cycles that we're falling into. But I believe we attract exactly what we are. And every relationship that I've been in, whenever I felt like, why isn't this better? And why am I not getting this? And why aren't these needs being met? I can always step back and look at it and say, this is exactly what I deserve. Because whatever I'm attracting is where I am at. So if I am someone who is judgmental, chances are I'm going to attract someone who's going to judge me. If I judge myself, I'll meet someone who will judge me too. If I don't love myself completely, I'm going to meet someone who can't love me completely. And, if I can't hold my own boundaries, I'm going to meet someone who's going to consistently break my boundaries. And I think this is not a coincidence. Like we can not believe it, but it's true. Any way that a partner is treating us is, I believe, always based on what we are projecting out in terms of what we believe we are worth and what we deserve. And a relationship is just a reflection. And I think a lot of us don't want to look at that. We don't want to face ourselves. But if we actually took the time to look at the ways in which our relationship is playing out, if we completely removed blame and took full ownership, I think that we would see that if we do the work to love ourselves more, to expect more, like we should ask ourselves questions like, before we even go into dating, like what is my minimum standard in terms of a relationship? Like what are the bare minimums that I want to accept here? Is that like my boundaries are firmly respected by this person, or that they never lie to me, or that we have complete authenticity? Like where are the lines here? And if that isn't clear to us, then we are going to go into something blind and probably create something we didn't want. So it's so important for us to have a very clear image of, what do I want? Like, what are the things that are so important to me? Is it important to me to feel fully accepted as I am? Or is it important that I feel like I can share all of my feelings with my partner and not feel like I get shut down for them? Or is it important to me that we can communicate regularly about the relationship without that feeling like a negative part of our life? Can that be a positive? And once we know what they are, we can go into things more open to receiving what it is that we want, but also, have I become that person? Like, if I want to meet a partner who accepts me fully, yet I do not accept myself, it's just not going to happen. So unless we're going, I think that a key thing in relationships is, if you are somebody who wants to grow, like if you're watching this, potentially you are, like you're into self-development, you want to become a better person. I totally believe we can grow within the relationship. We don't have to be full of self-love and fully healed to get in a relationship with another person. But we have to accept that if we're not fully healed, which none of us are, we're going to attract someone who's going to trigger us somewhere down the line. And there's going to be stuff we're not going to like. And at the bare minimum, if you are someone who wants to work on themselves, you need to attract someone else who equally is willing to do that work. Because otherwise, things are not going to align. You're going to grow, they're not going to. Like, the line's going to get bigger. And if they can't face themselves, you are always going to be the problem to them, or vice versa. So I think at a bare minimum, if we are someone who wants to grow as a human, we need to be attracting other humans that equally want to take some ownership and grow, and not just blame the other person. But we all need to look at what that looks like for ourselves. So I think asking ourselves those questions before we even go into dating, so we have a clear visual image of what does my dream relationship actually look like? And like, let's go deeper than he's really fit and he buys me presents and takes me out for dinner and, you know, he gives me kisses. Or like, let's go a bit deeper than that, because that stuff is not enough. Like, it doesn't last. If you want a relationship that's actually going to make you thrive as a human, you're going to need a bit more than that, probably. And I think also, like, making space to really feel into that, you know, how that relationship makes you feel. Why do you want that anyway? Like, what's it going to give to your life? Because we can say, oh, I want this partner who's going to love me and adore me and treat me like a princess. Why? Like, why do you want that? Like, what's it going to give you? Well, it's going to make me feel like I'm good enough and love myself. And it's like, no, it won't. Like, because if you don't think you're good enough and you don't love yourself, you can find that perfect man who gives you all that stuff and it's still not going to change anything.